Mira, ¿dónde tú estás?
Ya estoy aquí, mi vida. ¿Pero qué están tomando?
¿Pero por qué?
Porque me traje lo nuevo y diferente, Taíno Light Boricua Beer. Y lo más importante es que es lo nuevo y acabadita de salir al mercado.
¿Y saben buenas?
Claro, ambas cervezas tienen los mismos beneficios que una copa de vino. Con menos calorías. La Boricua Beer 6%, fuerte pero con sabor. Y la Taíno Light 4.5% y es artesanal.
Eso mismo. Somos familia, calidad y sabor.
Visita boricuabeer.com.
Hola Florida, introducing Boricua Beer and Taíno Light Beer. Boricua and Taíno Light are crafted beers that are rich in flavors and brewed right here in Florida. Taíno beer has a crisp, refreshing Caribbean flavor style when enjoyed chilled. Boricua beer is a craft ale with full body flavor that is a beer drinker's beer. Boricua and Taíno Light Beers. Enjoy responsibly.
Good evening and welcome back to Latina Role Models. I am your host, Attorney Sandra Rivera, and I have the pleasure of speaking to Sandra Carrasquillo today. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
I'm not happier than I am. Tell me a little bit about yourself. I know that you've been in Florida, and I'm assuming the Central Florida area, for about 31 years.
Been in Orlando 31 years. Went to UCF as a student and finished. But I did my internship at the only Spanish radio station at the time, and I got hired.
And what radio station was that?
That was Onsecu.
Okay.
And I worked for them for 16 years.
Wow. And what were your duties? What was your job there?
Well, I started doing everything as helping out in every single detail. Since it was a new radio station, I became the traffic director. I also did the traffic reports, and that's the way I started.
And is that something that you aspired to before you got that internship program?
Yes, since I was a little girl, I was one of those in front of the mirror with the brush, talking and, and singing, you know. So I was like that, yes.
Yeah. So why Florida? Why'd you come here?
Florida, because you know what? My aunt at the time, she moved from Detroit, Michigan to Florida, to Orlando. And they were one of the pioneers. They've been living here for 35 years. So it was easier for me to come to my tia's house.
Make the transition. Yeah.
But my tia lived in Ocoee, and UCF is in Alafaya Trail, 25 miles. So then I had to move, but it was, that's why I'm here.
Yeah. Now, starting in radio back then, I imagine that Spanish radio in particular, has changed significantly in the time that you've been here. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, have changed a lot. At that time, only one radio station, no TV stations, and we were happening in Orlando. After the time, then got all the TV stations and another little AMs, and it started growing and growing. I'm amazed right now. I have so many choices right now on my radio, and I love it.
Right. And what are you doing now?
Well, right now I'm a news anchor for Florida News Networks, and I do the news in Rumba 100.3 in the morning. And I also do for iHeartMedia their public affairs radio shows that airs in 14 radio stations across the state, including Rumba. And I also have my radio talk shows in AM 1440, La Voz de Orlando, 1440 AM. And I do Ellas y su punto de vista and Mujer de Hoy, two different radio shows, talk radio.
Okay, and those are also on 1440, or those are on different?
1440, Spanish talk radio.
Okay, so you stay pretty busy, and I imagine you have to stay pretty current on what's going on in our community. Is there a specific area that you like to focus on in your talk shows, or are you just kind of all around information?
I embrace. My passion is nutrition.
Okay.
And I always tend to talk about good health with my radio listeners. But yeah.
Okay. And where does that passion come from? Is that something that you studied at any time?
No, I always say, why study communication? I should have studied nutrition, because that's my passion. And I'm always trying to figure out with foods and telling my husband, you should eat this, this is good for this is good for your kidneys, and I don't know, this is a passion.
Okay, so what's your cheat meal? What do you like to cheat with?
Oh, I like everything. I like sweets, desserts. Yes, desserts. Chocolate.
So with all those shows that you're involved in, excuse me, do you have one particular that is very near and dear to your heart?
Well, my baby is Mujer de Hoy.
Okay.
I've been doing that for almost 15 years.
And what do you do on that show?
Well, I'm the producer, salesperson. I do everything. I'm the host. And we talk about, I changed the name now. It's not Mujer de Hoy. Now it's Mujer y Hombre de Hoy.
Oh, okay.
Because I was getting a lot of male listeners. So yeah.
Are there areas that in that particular show that you like to focus on, or these just dealing with issues?
I do daily,
Okay.
whatever it's happening at the moment.
Okay. Do you feed a lot off of your listeners and your calls that come in as to what you're going to speak about?
Well, yeah, I wake up every day at 3:30 in the morning. Yes, that's me, the one and only in Central Florida, getting up at 3:30 in the morning. And I start reading newspapers and to see what's going on, and then highlight, to see what's more important.
Okay.
For a subject, a topic for the radio show.
Okay. Now, I've always wanted to ask people who are in radio, obviously they're on for an extended period of time, sometimes for hours, and I'm always amazed at how there never seems to be a gap in the information. They just know how to keep talking, know how to keep the dialogue going, and I imagine sometimes you're not even in there with anybody to talk to, so you're just kind of speaking and giving your information and waiting for the calls.
You have to be prepared. Advice: be prepared. Have more than you're supposed to say on the air. All this information, more. I packed a whole bunch of stuff, and the callers make my show.
Yeah. Do you have any calls in particular that stand out in your mind that made an impact in your life, or a situation that somebody may have called in about?
Yes, I have saved lives.
Really?
With my radio show.
Wow.
With people suffering depression.
That's amazing.
And helping out with some advice, and little that I know that they call me and say thank you so much.
Wow. Yeah, that's fulfilling.
Yes.
So on your show, you have the opportunity in a lot of the things that you do to interview different people. Is there an interview in particular that stands out in your mind that you're especially proud of?
Well, I do have a lot. I have interviewed Ricky Martin, and that was a really cool interview. Julio Iglesias, that was really cool because he kind of invited me to go out with him after the interview, and I'm like, no, thank you.
That's a successful interview.
And then also the salsa singer Frankie Ruiz, I interviewed him, and it was really amazing, which I still have that interview with me. And I also interviewed the President of the United States of America, Barack Obama.
Wow, our current president.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell me about that. How did that happen?
Well, I was at the beach one day with my husband and my son. I was relaxing with my favorite book and a nice icy drink. And my phone rang, and they said, this is such and such from the White House. We would like for you to interview the President of the United States of America, and Barack Obama. And I thought it was one of my friends making a joke, like, yeah, sure. And I'm like sitting down like this, and I'm like answering just like that. And then the interview got more and more and more serious, and I was like, and I'm like, okay. And then I knew it was for real. It was this, it was a serious radio. They were asking me to interview him, and so I had to cut my vacations. Of course. I was like, I started panicking. I'm like, I need to study. I'm on vacation. I haven't read anything for 5 days. So yeah, and it was just amazing.
That's incredible. Now, Did you have the opportunity to do that here in Florida?
Yes, here in Florida.
All right, all right. And how did you feel sitting in the room, waiting for him to come in?
It was amazing. My heart was beating after that interview. It was like one of those days that when you have a heart, one of those tests that when you get rid of them, you just want a margarita.
Yeah, been there.
That's what happened after that interview. I was so, stressed because I wanted to have the perfect questions, and so it was amazing.
And how did you find the president? What did you think of him?
He's very good. I mean, it was very polite, very, he answered all the all my questions. Although they at the White House, they asked me for the questions.
Okay.
And I send it to them. They're like, we don't want 1 and 2 and 3. I'm like, okay. So when it was the time for the interview, I asked for 1, 2, and 3. You don't tell me what to ask him. So
you're a reporter. So is there, you named some pretty big names. Was there anybody, including the president, that you felt intimidated at all, or has your experience in this field just prepped you for those type of situations?
No.
Felt pretty confident.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yes.
And you have a family. You have a husband and
I have my son and my daughter Alexandra. She is just graduated from UCF and Gonzalo.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Are any of them going to follow in your footsteps?
No. Alexandra's she's studying law school, and
Great.
my son, he's still in middle school.
Okay. Sandra, you mentioned that you also do morning radio with La Rumba, which is a local radio station here. Now, I listened to La Rumba, and I've heard all of the characters on there. What is it like being in the studio with all of them?
It's really fun. I do the news for them. I'm their news anchor. And being in the morning with John Musa and Jenny and Casper and all the crew is really fun. Everybody's like, how can you work with them? Oh my God. I'm like, they're really nice, cool people. They do not intimidate me at all. I come with my news and they come in with the news, whatever I have. So I like it. I love it, actually.
And have you been there for how long?
With iHeartMedia. I used to be Clear Channel. I've been with them for like 11 years.
Okay. So what's next on your agenda? I mean, you're so busy.
I'm cool right now. Nothing, no major, I don't have any major, I don't know. I might have something going on, but not now.
Right. Now, we have a lot of people that watch that, maybe, especially now, this is a season of graduations, and people are trying to figure out, or young people are trying to figure out what it is they want to do with their lives. And your path has been an extensive one to get to where you are. So for somebody who has aspirations to either go into television or some kind of media, do you have recommendations as to what they need to, or what they can expect, and how to break into that particular field?
I think in any field, you just need to be prepared. Just try to be a yes person. Be humble. Humble will take you anywhere you want. Just be humble. I think that's the key.
Yeah. And what are you most proud of in your life?
What am I most proud?
Good question.
I'm just happy. I'm just proud to be happy. I'm a happy person, and yeah.
Sandra, can you tell some of the viewers who maybe haven't heard any of your programs where they can listen to you, when they can tune in to hear what you have to say?
Yes, in the mornings, Rumba. I'm there at 7, at 8 in the morning. Also in the afternoon, and 14:40 a.m. at 4 o'clock prime time.
Perfect. I look forward to hearing more of you.
I'm excited.
All right.
I want you to be on my radio show again.
Yes, role reversal. I'd be happy to. Well, thank you for joining us at Latina Role Models. I'm your host, Sandra Rivera.
Hi, I'm Gloria Puerta from Freedom 45 Community Organization, today in Latino Role Model. And, be yourself. Try to have your purpose in life and be a legacy of service.
My name is Milagros Rivera, and I'm a founder and mentor of Daughters of the Mighty King mentoring program for young girls. I am inspired and encouraged to be here because I want to see a new generation rise up.
Ya estoy aquí, mi vida. ¿Pero qué están tomando?
¿Pero por qué?
Porque te traje lo nuevo y diferente, Taíno Light Boricua Beer. Y lo más importante es que es lo nuevo y acabadita de salir al mercado.
¿Y saben buenas?
Claro, ambas cervezas tienen los mismos beneficios que una copa de vino, con menos calorías. La Boricua Beer 6%, fuerte pero con sabor. Y la Taíno Light 4.5% y es artesanal.
Eso es. Somos familia, calidad y sabor.
Visita boricuabeer.com.
Hola Florida, introducing Boricua Beer and Taino Light Beer. Boricua and Taino Light are crafted beers that are rich in flavors and brewed right here in Florida. Taino beer has a crisp, refreshing Caribbean flavor style when enjoyed chilled. Boricua beer is a craft ale with full body flavor that is a beer drinker's beer. Boricua and Taino Light Beers, enjoy responsibly.
Welcome back to Latino Role Models. I'm Sandra Rivera, your host, and I'm here today with Casspeli, and she has some very interesting information to share with us. Welcome.
Thank you.
Could you tell us the organization that you're here representing?
I represent the United Confederation of Taino People, and I'm also a co-founder of the Caribbean Amerindian Development Organization.
And what is that federation all about? What do you do?
Well, although the name is United Confederation of Taino People, we have members that happen to be not just from the Greater Antilles and Puerto Rico or Boriquen and the diaspora, but we also have people from the Lesser Antilles as well as people from Guyana, the Locono people.
Okay, and this is these are indigenous groups that you're representing. Is there a meeting that your Federation has to address the needs of indigenous people?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I just came back from the UN Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues. And what we do, I happen to be one of the authorized delegates representing the United Confederation of Taino People. And every year, starting since 2002, the United Nations decided to open this group to address precisely the indigenous issues on over 370 million indigenous peoples in the world. Wow. So what we do is we present our issues. The UN prepares an agenda, and each year you either have a revision of previous issues or you bring up new issues. And this year, for example, we spoke about teen suicide and self-harm. We spoke about the environment. We spoke about the implementation on the Declaration of the UN on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. And that is super important. One of the biggest goals that we have is to teach people about what this declaration is about. It addresses the minimum standards on our rights. And it was adopted in September of 2007. But yet, when we say states, it means governments of the world, have not been as proactive in implementing the declaration. And as indigenous peoples, we need to educate about that. And we also need to know that we have the right of self-determination. And that is a fundamental, universal, inherent right, where you are the one that says, this is who I am, this is what I identify with. It's not for anybody else to decide what you are.
And where does the U.S. stand on that declaration?
Very excellent question. On September in 2007, this declaration actually took over 25 years to be adopted. Wow. And came September, 11 states, 11 countries abstained from voting, and we had 4 countries that simply said no. And among those was the U.S. It was U.S., Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. But eventually the other ones changed their mind, and they decided to adopt the declaration. And the last one to accept it or to adopt it was the U.S., and they did that in December of 2010.
And do you have any opinion on that as to what you attribute
I
that to?
have many, many opinions.
Any that you feel comfortable sharing?
Do we have 3-week show? I'm sorry. I do have to say that when we speak about the right of self-determination, this is not a right that the U.S. is giving you and an opportunity to fill out on the census, yes, I happen to be Taino, or yes, I am a Navajo. It's not that. It is a universal right, and it's protected by international law. So it is not a favor, first of all. Now, when you have the U.S. government stating that they do respect the right of self-determination, many times that statement is aligned with federally recognized tribes. And there's 566 federally recognized tribes. And unfortunately, most of our people, especially in the Caribbean, think, well, the U.S. has all their Indians fine, and they live all in reservations, and they're all recognized. And that could not be further from the truth. Okay. There's 566 federally recognized, and over 450 that are not recognized.
In the U.S. alone?
In the U.S.
Wow.
alone.
Okay.
Okay. Another issue that to me is really important, and this I try to educate as much as I can, whether it's at a local level, on the living room in my house, or in your house, is about the extinction theory, this myth that has been instilled in us, indigenous peoples of the Caribbean, from the second we enter school. Okay, the Taino has been left as though we're archaeological artifacts, and that could not be further from the truth. Now you can have somebody, and I happen to have the blessing of having the Taino stereotype, but you can have somebody like me, and you may have one of these people say, well, all the Taino are extinct. And yet you can have that same person come here to U.S. territory and happen to encounter or be able to visit a powwow where you have somebody with blonde hair, blue eyes, pink skin, and you say, well, that happens to be an indigenous person. And that same person that told me that I'm not Taino
that rocks their world.
accepts that immediately. There's no question about it. You know, when in reality, we do have a lot of history. There has been continuity as far as our culture, traditional knowledge. You know, many of us grew up taken care of, or having our illnesses taken care of by abuelita, with our teas and leaves, plays to bring down inflammation. Our grandfathers, they didn't know agricultural methods from some university.
It's a more holistic approach.
It was ancestral knowledge. I mean, I remember my grandfather telling when you could cut a branch on a tree, or where you could go and harvest, based on when the phases of the moon, actually.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that happen, and even language. A lot of words from the Taino language that have trickled down, and many times people don't even know that that happens to be a Taino word, you know, or that practice was Taino. Or they confuse what was indigenous with maybe that's an African practice.
Right, okay. That makes
sense.
sense.
So we need to educate our people. And the myth of extinction is something that even I, having researched and studied for as many years as I have, and believe me, the more you study, the more you realize life is not long enough for everything that there is to learn. But one of the things is that even I at some point thought, we're the ones that, you know, that the world is saying that we're extinct, and we're not. But yet, when I started participating in person at the UN, I realized, wait a second, this is not exclusive to us. We thought that we were the ones that were extinct, but now I hear all these people, you know, in Africa, in Bangladesh, in Crimea.
It makes the world that much smaller because you're facing
the governments are saying we have no indigenous people, so we haven't had indigenous people since the 1500s or whatever figure they say. When in fact you have people that are saying we're here, we've always been here. So we have to understand that we have to expand the funnel of vision and see what is really just affecting indigenous peoples in the Caribbean. Or people that assert their rights of self-determination versus what is happening in the world. Am I being oppressed because of what I have been taught, you know, and the information that has been hammered onto me? Or is there really another side of this story? And that is the part that I really want to take a lot of proactive approach to.
So how, as an organization, do you do that? How do you educate people about the trials that indigenous people face, or educating people about the rights, or that we should even be paying attention to something like this?
Well, and one of the issues right now, for example, we have a lot of artifacts, human remains all over the world that happen to be Taino. And when we're talking about the Repatriation Act, because we're not federally recognized, we're in that limbo. So we do advocate in the different mechanisms that the UN provides, because that's how you have to do it. We have to remember that regardless of what you identify with, we happen to be part of a society that has a system. So we need to go into that system. We need to know what our rights are and then be able to advocate and make interventions or do shadow reports whenever you have these conferences that have to do with issues that are impacting the indigenous peoples in the Caribbean.
And when you go to these forums or even to the UN, do you have the opportunity to, after speaking with some of the other groups representing other countries, do you take from that different ways that you can bring back to your own organization or to your own state or country and be able to implement some of those ideas?
That is like the best question of all. When we go to the UN, we have to understand that still happens to be their living room. Okay. We're the ones that are going there as a guest, but we have to do what we have to do, and present the issues, and that's one part. But remember that you have the opportunity of getting in touch with another 2,000 indigenous delegates from the world. And to me, the network is key, because maybe someone in Australia is dealing with an environmental issue that is very dear to me, and I'm dealing with the same thing in the island, in Boriquén, for example, or Quisqueya, now with the mining and all these other things that are impacting the environment. So we can learn and we can create liaisons and networking. And then what is working with you? And just to give you an idea, I happen to be a mentor on this excellent project that Tribal Link Foundation has, and it's called Project Access. I'm an alumni of that program, and now I go in every year as a mentor to teach others how to go about the UN system and also how to present these interventions, at the forum, and hopefully, cross your fingers and you had such an impact that, that intervention is taken. But one of the students that I had this year happens to be a scientist, an environmental biologist from Australia. And we were talking about, the love that I have for the ocean and the difference that I had seen on the ocean floor and invasion of species in our island. I happen to be from the southwest in Boriquén. Cabo Rojo, Bouillet is the beach that I love. But I started seeing a lot of issues with that. And because of that relationship, and because of those conversations that were casual conversations, right. When she went to Australia, she wrote to this person that has an incredible program to help the farmers that have land next to oceans, how to create these embankments that protect the water, saves the sediment, and then whatever goes into the ocean floor is not as contaminated as it would have if they had not created those processes. So we're trying to work on creating a program along with Australia, and hopefully that will happen. My goal is that we do.
Great.
But save our oceans and start in my town, and hopefully we can trickle down to other places.
Well, thank you so much for all of that information. I know that you taught me something, and I hope that you out there learned something as well. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you for tuning in to Latino Role Models.
Ya estoy aquí, mi vida. ¿Pero qué están tomando?
¿Pero por qué?
Porque te traje lo nuevo y diferente, Taíno Light Boricua Beer. Y lo más importante es que es lo nuevo y acabadita de salir al mercado.
¿Y saben buenas?
Claro, ambas cervezas tienen los mismos beneficios que una copa de vino, con menos calorías. La Boricua Beer 6%, fuerte pero con sabor. Y la Taíno Light 4.5% y es artesanal.
Eso me gusta. Somos familia, calidad y sabor.
Visita boricuabeer.com.
Hola Florida, introducing Boricua Beer and Taíno Light Beer. Boricua and Taíno Light are crafted beers that are rich in flavors and brewed right here in Florida. Taíno beer has a crisp, refreshing Caribbean flavor style when enjoyed chilled. Boricua beer is a craft ale with full body flavor that is a beer drinker's beer. Boricua and Taíno Light beers, enjoy responsibly.
My name is Ninmari Zapata, and I am a Latina role model because I believe that you can overcome any circumstances that come in your way and be the best version of yourself.
Hello, I'm Sandra Rivera, and I'm a Latina role model. Whatever your struggles are in life, whatever you don't have or don't have access to, don't use that as an excuse for not pursuing your dreams and moving forward. Get out of your own way and get out of your comfort zone, and you will be amazed at the growth that you will experience.
Hi, I'm Gloria Puerta from Freedom 45 Community Organization, today in Latino role model. And be yourself. Try to have your purpose in life and be a legacy of service.
My name is Milagros Rivera, and I'm a founder and mentor of Daughters of the Mighty King mentoring program for young girls. I am inspired and encouraged to be here because I want to see a new generation rise up